Okay, hi everyone. My name is Anna, and some of you know me for organizing one of the most OG Bitcoin conferences and probably one of the most toxic ones. And today I have a chance to sit here with my good friends and amazing Bitcoiners and probably the coolest Bitcoin maxis that I know. And to be honest, I didn't have much time to prepare the questions because I've been busy organizing one of the stages for this amazing conferences. So I'll start with the basics and just ask you to introduce yourself and tell us why are you so toxic?
NVK. I am a peace and loving person. Somehow Twitter thinks I'm toxic.
That's all?
Okay, fine. I make harder wallets. All the other wallets suck. I have opinions about software licenses. I have opinions about block size, and I have opinions.
Okay, I am Mir, or Mir BTC. I also have a surname, but that's not really important. As you can hear from my accent, I am Italian. And I've been active in the Bitcoin space during the Bitcoin wars those years. Nowadays, I'm mostly a mom and I do a lot of stuff, but still very, very toxic.
I'm not toxic. Am I toxic? I'm the new non-toxic Francis now. I removed the toxic logo. I'm not toxic. I'm just
Yeah, we should argue about something we disagree. So
yeah.
no, I'm kidding. There probably isn't.
But I guess I used to be more toxic when I cared more about influencing the culture, the debate, and so on and so forth. So I guess I was we were at the 2017 conference in Amsterdam. That's where we came up with the toxic maximalist. The woke things were already penetrating the Bitcoin developer space. So
It really was Vitalik that really called us maximalists. Maxis for sure.
So we internalized that and made
Let the hate flow through you.
Yes.
Not toxic. What's the opposite of being toxic?
Well, no. So here's the thing: is that anything in quantities that are too extreme for somebody who hasn't sampled it is toxic. You drink too much water, it's toxic. So the problem is that we live in fucked up clown world where fiat is just a fundamental fucking lie that we all live in. So when we come and speak truth, they go, "Oh my God, these people are speaking such a radical truth. I can't handle it." Their brains explode. And it's true, because things like shitcoins like Ethereum and all this other fucking garbage that is a goddamn scam, that's it. They're trying to fucking scam you. They think that they're really smart and that they created some Grey Ruber gold machine, when the truth is, it's a piece of fucking shit that is designed to steal money from you.
It's true.
And I want to be very clear. These are some of the nicest, most friendly, gentle people you'll ever meet. And when you meet them, you'll go, why do people call them toxic? No, they're sweet, kind people. We just speak truth. And it turns out that shitheads in clown world don't like that.
But, I have a theory. I think Francis is no longer toxic because eventually everybody internalizes that everything is good for Bitcoin. There is no attack vectors. That's it. Everybody's going to use it. You're just stuck with the same system with each other. It's Bitcoin's enemy's money, and that's it.
No. I mean, not everything is good for Bitcoin, but
Everything
almost
is good for Bitcoin.
almost everything is good for Bitcoin. But yes. I think the toxicity that is ascribed to us by our enemies, by our rivals, and that we have internalized as kind of a meme and used, is because they are making a lot of money off of these fucking scams. A lot. So it's not that they're offended. It's that we are jeopardizing an insane amount of wealth that they're creating for themselves. So that's for example, the ordinals kind of thing. I got like a lot of people here. Triggered by it, and not necessarily just for the spam, but also because they were grifting the Bitcoin brand that we've worked so hard to build as something that's honest and has integrity. And the reason why they think that we're toxic is not because they think that we're or somehow preventing progress or something like that is because they are making thousands of Bitcoins on the ordinals. Like, I don't know if you guys realize how much money these guys are making. The ordinals issuers, we're not talking about like a few $1,000,000. We're talking about definitely like tens and tens of millions of dollars so far, probably 9 figures.
If it wasn't for ordinals, we wouldn't have the fee pressure and people wouldn't have to get off their asses and fix Lightning. So it's like, it's great. I mean, like, everything is good for Bitcoin.
Yeah, but also fuck the scammers.
Of course, they can go fuck themselves.
I'm curious to hear Mir's opinion on ordinals because we heard Giacomo's amazing presentation about ordinals being retarded.
Well, I've never said anything about ordinals yet, but I would say that I think Giacomo is right in that. Other time he's not right. They are kind of retarded. Yeah, it's kind of first time here. And one thing that I noticed is just like from toxic maximalists, now they are calling the toxic people laserized people. So right now you can, they use this kind of insult, is the new version of just to identify that I even better from the previous narratives. It's really interesting. They're very smart people.
It's good to be punk. Like when I love being ostracized, like that's where we get the energy from, right? Like, so it's like, please don't accept us in the mainstream track. It's okay. It's a good thing. That's where the best software is made. It's the punks, the hackers. We want to keep it that way.
Okay, thank you guys. Okay.
Well, I just want to say, look, like every
Toxic.
Bitcoin is for everyone, including the retarded. So like we gotta accept the ordinal retards. It's just important we go, this is a fucking scam, and you're retarded if you think that your monkey image will sell for more Bitcoin later. Like, that is a legit retard thing to do. And I guess you're going to lose all your fucking Bitcoin. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I understand where you're coming from, and I appreciate the opinions you have shared. But my question would be, why do you believe this strategy works?
It's not a choice. I mean, it's not like you wake up in the morning and you're like, you know what, I'm going to be toxic today, right? No, I mean, like, I kiss my wife. I say hello to my children, and then the world sort of like brings to your door, a bunch of schemes and stuff. And you feel this like innate need to go and say that is stupid and retarded, right? So it just kind of works that way. We're all trying to like sort of do less of that because it's kind of pointless. There's people who want to be scammed, so let them be scammed.
Yeah, well, I would add one thing that's there are two words together, just like toxic maximalist. So to me, being a maximalist means the opposite. I feel that I'm minimalist. I focus only on the stuff that really matters for me, and I think for the humanity, it's focusing. I don't care about shitcoins that much. I don't think about other projects that much, not because of hate, but because I am very keen of my energy and the time that I use, and I want to use it for Bitcoin. And toxically, just because, just as I was saying before, Erik, it's just like we want to say that we are against the average narrative, and we are doing that with a strong opinion and with intensity. That is the meaning to me.
Yeah, I mean, maximalism has two sides. Like, one of the sides is the economic inavailability of the dominance of the Bitcoin monetary network effect, right? So, on a long enough timeline, everything tends towards one, and that's kind of like inevitable. So that's the kind of like practical aspect of it. But there's also the idea that it is a good thing, like the existence of one single global dominant currency. It's a good monopoly to have, so it's a desirable outcome. And I think like one of the reasons why I am toxic towards, certain types like the shitcoiners, and like, the shitcoiners, like my toxicity now is just like to just turn my back on them and just to pretend they don't exist. I don't, I've kind of, as you say, like, Bitcoin is scarce, my time is not, my energy is not. But, I was working at the Bitcoin Embassy, which was a physical Bitcoin kiosk, like help desk center. So I had all the normies come to my desk physically when they had a problem with Bitcoin. Like, you could just like walk in. And I saw a lot between 2015 and 2017, even before the whole ICO craze. I saw a lot of people lose a lot of money on shitcoin scams, on Ponzi schemes, so on and so forth. And like when you see people cry in front of you because they lost their life savings, because they got convinced that something was the next thing and it was kind of like Bitcoin and they thought it was okay because of Bitcoin, it's hard to look at a victim and be like, he's a fucking moron. He shouldn't have invested in his shitcoin. Like, no, I mean, I do have some empathy because they are using the Bitcoin brand to grift. So I felt kind of like responsible, and none of these scammers are going to jail, right? So they're not getting punished in any way, shape, or form. So at some point I decided like the least that we can do is to ostracize them socially so that they're basically not invited to our birthday parties anymore. Like that's the least we can do. Like they're never going to be punished. Okay, we know that it's a completely chaotic, anarchic industry, but the least we can do is make them feel bad online. Like you don't get to scam people, run with the money, and also be respected and be platformed like on a forum such as this in the community. So those victims of scams, it's easy to say like the market will correct itself, but like this kind of like collateral damage is these are like real people whose life savings are gone. So the reason why we are toxic is to create also a very strong differentiation between Bitcoin and crypto, so that they can no longer use that affiliate marketing of Bitcoin to run their scams. And I think we've done a great job at that. Like the concept of Bitcoin is not crypto was very, very vague. Like 5-6 years ago, it was still kind of like meddled in, and now it's in the normie zeitgeist that there's Bitcoin, there's crypto. It's in the like U.S. Senate or something like that. And we've done a good job at that because it limits collateral damage to the normies, and that's why the more the scammers and grifters are close to the Bitcoin community, like such as the ordinal scammers, like the more people get toxic. So I'm not saying like we shouldn't be toxic. I'm just saying like I'm no longer toxic because I'm retired as a toxic maximalist. It's a very taxing job, but it is a strategy. Like, so the strategy is to differentiate them from us, to prevent them from using our amazing brand, and it's our collective brand. Bitcoin is our collective brand, and we've worked really hard to build it, and they're not entitled to have it. And also for karmic. I think we all have a sense of justice. We're into Bitcoin because we believe in ethics, and we like to see wrongs righted. And the fact that these scammers are never going to get caught, at least we can deliver some kind of, social justice. I don't want to use that word, but
Francis, the funny thing here is that the only people who call Bitcoiners toxic are the scammers. You don't hear this from, other Bitcoiners. It's just a love fest here. Everybody's hugging each other. The real toxic thing is the dollar. Bitcoin, we're not bombing any country. Like the dollar is right now bombing.
Well, on that note, I want to point out, like, my toxicity is based upon the fact that all of this other bullshit that isn't Bitcoin, it is fundamentally fiat. And it is part of a nihilistic worldview that why shouldn't I get rich off of scamming and grifting on people? And truly, I believe that they have never actually thought deep enough or far enough about this to ever consider that they are actively hurting people by participating in this grift, that I think if they actually allowed for themselves to do the intellectual work to really figure out why there are all of these toxic Bitcoin maximalists, this would fundamentally destroy their worldview, and it is toxic to them, and it would destroy them. So,
this is the evolution of the LARPitarian. You guys all have a friend who's a libertarian. This is a LARPitarian because they talk about, they go on podcasts, like, oh, Mrs. This, like, but they don't do anything. They just complain about politics. They try to get into politics and all this stuff, where you can just simply exit, right? You get your purchasing power, you buy Bitcoin, and you're no longer part of the scam, right? You don't have to LARP anymore. And like, I think like that's sort of like evolution of the toxicity. It's just going to be like, I'm not participating in your scam.
It's like the refusal to the refusal to compromise in kind of like a democratic setting is also what I'm a former LARPitarian, by the way. The refusal to negotiate with the political establishment and the fiat people, like that really triggers them, right? So for example, the one of the levels, my levels of toxicity is the kind of like cry harder rebuke to a lot of the arguments against Bitcoin, like Bitcoin is consuming too much energy. Okay, so what? What the fuck are you gonna do about it? Go fuck yourself. And but they are expecting that we are going to enter into a debate and that we're going to have some acceptable compromise in the middle and that we are going to change a little bit and that they're going to be able to slowly move over to their direction. But when you tell them, like, no, I'm not going to engage with you because I don't need to, right? Because Bitcoin is censorship resistant and decentralized. And like, we don't even need to be part of that debate. That really, really pisses them off. And that's a great form of toxicity, just to be like, we don't need to engage at all. The other great form of toxicity is have them staying poor. John Carvalho came up with a really good one. I guess Bitcoin's not just not for you then. What about Bitcoin? It's just not for you.
Remember Greenpeace, when Greenpeace wanted to change the code? Change the code was the, and by the way, Ripple was banking them. But like, okay, change the code. I mean, seriously, please change the code. Like, I'm not gonna run your code, but anyone can make a fork of Bitcoin Core and change the code. They can't comprehend this shift of power, right? It's completely asymmetric now, and then it's gonna take them a long time to realize, and by then they'll be poor, which is perfect. Don't help a commie friend buy Bitcoin. Let the commies be last.
Okay, thank you guys. I think we have time left for the one last question, considering how much you talk. So, what I was really curious about, that I've noticed some of the most toxic people becoming less toxic over time. And I'm thinking if could be something in the future that can influence that level of toxicity, like institutional adoption, a price increase, or something that could make people become less toxic that you envision?
I mean, people are gonna do what they're gonna do with Bitcoin. People have a very hard time wrapping their heads around it, right? It's like it's an anarchic system, it's a spontaneous order, and it's voluntary, right? Like, people really have a hard time with the voluntary part, and then there's the responsibility part, right? So, you're gonna figure out your own path on it. There's just nothing really, we try to help people with self-custody, with like better privacy and stuff, but at the end of the day, like, put up the big boy pants, read some stuff and figure out their shit.
I don't see that like descending. I see it like in waves, just like not depending on Bitcoin prices, but on trends or whatever. So, of course, we need to be a little bit more toxic, especially I love the idea of being toxic, like protecting other people. So you want to protect the people from scammers, you want to protect the people also from the scam, which is fiat money and what is going on. So I feel that right now the intensity is going to be stronger because we are reaching right now the bull market. So many scammers will enter, regulation will be tougher on us, and we want to be more toxic to protect other people. And I have seen during this age this thing in waves, just like for some moment it's very cool to be toxic maximalist, then you feel like ashamed of being that. It's just like a trend, like in any other community. But internally, you want to be more toxic as ever to protect yourself and the other people around you.
I mean, there's definitely one form of toxicity that we mustn't let lessen over time, and that's where it comes to the consensus rule changes of Bitcoin. I mean, that's where toxicity eventually started in the beginning, and I'm seeing that the shaming of toxic maxis and like ridiculizing them could be somehow related to the idea of like making our voices less illegitimate if some kind of soft fork proposal were to be made, because we will have proposals for soft forks. Some of them may be hostile and require active participation and coordination amongst the economic nodes in the form of a user-resisted soft fork. We could have soft forks that were trying to push in Bitcoin, and that the miners, the institutional publicly traded miners, are refusing to implement, and then we might have to do a UASF. And we might need our hats. So this form of toxicity, which is really enforcing your consistent real preferences, like that must remain. It's very important that it remains there for long. But one of the reasons I think a lot of people are less toxic or less vocal about calling out the scammers. There's tons, and one of them is ultimately when you're doing that, you're doing yourself a disservice, right? Because if you're preventing other people from getting scammed, I don't gain anything personally from the normies not getting scammed. And I think with COVID and the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, it's like I don't really care about the normies that much. I don't really like them, So I used to love the people, and now I'm not sure so much. I like my friends here.
It's like you smell like prison.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, toxicity is the natural mechanism that Bitcoin uses to defend itself. It's its actual immune system getting activated. And so when bullshit comes up, that clearly is an actual threat to Bitcoin, which we have seen come up time and time again, and will continue to come time and time again. I really hope that it's going to be all of you plebs and the toxic maximalists who are going to make the fucking fire-ass memes that are going to call people out on the absolute and utter bullshit. That's going to say, you know what? You can take your fork that's going to be economically viable for the big companies and you can shove it right up your ass. Go fuck yourself. I would prefer not to. And that's it. And furthermore, we're fucking cool. Kind of. Well, we're fucking nerds that are cool in our own way. So, but anyway, we're unique. We are unique.
No, we have Fractal Encrypt and Matex and all these amazing artists, and they have fucking stupid, monkeys. We're way cooler. There's no debate. The anti-fragile nature of Bitcoin is not a function of the software. It's not a function of the protocol at all, right? So people say like my friend here says that, yeah, everything is good for Bitcoin. Why is everything good for Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin is anti-fragile. Why is Bitcoin anti-fragile? It's because people within the ecosystem will react, right? So we saw this with UASF. So yes, everything is good for Bitcoin just as long as we stay toxic.
Yeah. Twitter is not real life, okay? Most of the angry people on Twitter are either Twitter tigers, okay, in person, they don't even want to look you in the face, or they're just having a bad day.
Although, if your feelings are really hurt from stuff that people says online, bro, just set the phone down and walk away. It's like, look, nobody's making you read that shit, okay? So I'm really sorry if words on the internet hurts your feelings, but go outside and touch the grass, man. Look at the clouds. It's gonna be okay, all right?
Okay, I think we can finalize this panel. I wish I could have time to give you guys a word, maybe just one word, one sentence. Final thoughts.
NVK.
One sentence.
Start over there. Keep being toxic. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't let people shame you. It's great.
I was going to say that. I don't have to think about something else, Mir.
Really happy because you are Maxi again after this panel.
You're getting me riled up. I want to become more toxic now. No, it's living at the beach makes you less toxic, I guess.
Listen, it's like, just be honest.
Yes. They should have.
Thank you so much, guys, and thank you to my amazing panelists, and let's stay toxic.